Today's going to be our first day using the Hummingbird Bit kits. And what I've done here is I have taken our kit container and I've taken everything out of it, because the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to inventory your kit to make sure that you have everything that you're going to need for this unit. Okay, so I have a controller and battery pack, single color LEDs. Notice it says one green, one red, one yellow. We have some tri-color LEDs. We'll learn about what those do. We have 4 sensors. Let me turn this up so you can see it. We have a distance sensor, a dial sensor, a sound sensor, and that top one says light sensor. We have 2 types of servos. One is called a position servo. One is called a rotation servo. These are very different. We have some adapters and some wheels, and then ultimately we have some accessories. So if you want to follow along with me, we're going to be putting some parts back into these kits. Okay, so the very first thing that we are going to put in, the controller. So if you want to grab this piece right here and check this out, we'll be learning today about how to attach wires to this and how to program it from our iPad. This is called the controller. So we're going to put the controller in here. It also says battery pack and terminal tool. Controller. This is our battery pack. We'll connect that shortly. And then lastly, we have this guy which is called a terminal tool. I have found that sometimes these break. So this is the one that comes with the kit. However, you might have a 3D printed one if these do break. So this is called a terminal tool. We'll talk about what this does also today. We have some LEDs. Now this is the first time that I've opened these kits, so I don't expect yours to look like this, but we have some LEDs, okay, and let me open these up. In fact, you can open these up too. We don't need these twist ties. I'm not going to expect you to put them back together with twist ties, so if yours looks like this, go ahead and untwist tie. Otherwise, it probably looks similar to something like this, just thrown in here in the bin, and that's all right. So we have 3 single color LEDs. And how we know that they are single color LEDs is there's simply one colored wire for every LED. So this would be our yellow. Okay, we have a green, kind of hard to see in the video here, but this is green, it's a dark green. And then we have a red LED. Okay, so we have yellow, green, and red. Those are our single color LEDs. And then we have 2 tricolor LEDs. So make sure you have 3 single colors, 2 tricolors. And a tricolor LED, you'll notice, has multiple different colors on this LED, this light. It's called a tricolor because it has 3 actual colors that can come out of this light bulb. And they are red, blue, and green, as you can see by the wires. Okay, we have a distance sensor, so find this one. Looks like it has 2 little eyeballs. Distance sensor, how this works is it actually sends a signal out that bounces off of something and then it receives it. So it can detect how quickly that signal comes back and will determine how far away things are. Pretty neat. So this is a distance sensor. Put that in here. We have a dial sensor next. Dial sensor. Dial sensor is a little knob. Okay, let's put that in the dial sensor. Hard to see in the video, but we have sound and then light. So the sound sensor, believe it or not, actually somewhat looks like a speaker. This is a microphone though. Okay, so the sound sensor looks like a speaker. We'll put that in. And lastly, this is our light sensor. Okay, and on all of these, in fact, so this one, let's see, let me put this up here. It might be hard to see. Let's see if it focuses on my camera. Right underneath it, you can kind of see it there. It says light right on it. Okay, so we have a light sound. I wish they would have done this differently. The dial sensor, it says rotary. Rotary is another word for a dial sensor, but I wish they would have kept it consistent so we're not confused. Okay? We have 2 types of servos, and they are labeled on it. So this one right here is wrapped nicely. This says position servo. Let me get this one out of here. Okay, so we have let me unwrap this. We have a position servo. Okay, that obviously goes in the position servo. We have a rotation servo. So we have 2 of each. Make sure you have 2 of each. This is another rotation, and this is the position. We have some wheels here. Those are going to go on the wheels and adapters. Great. We have 2 of these purple ones. Okay, these are little adapters here too. Put those in. And then we have these pieces, which I'm guessing, they may or may not still exist in bags. I would love for you to put them back in bags when you're done doing it. And if your bag gets so beat up or ripped that you can't use it anymore, please let me know. I prefer to keep these in bags, even if it's only, maybe you have them all jammed in 2 of them. It just keeps it from pieces being everywhere. So that's fantastic. Lastly, this one is not listed. This right here is called a microbit. This is going to be the brain of the controller to tell everything else how to work. So this is going to be the part that we're actually going to be coding and programming to tell the controller how to operate and send signals to all these. So this is the brain of the operation. I want you to put that one over here. Okay, I don't want it plugged in. Sometimes I'll see these and it's still plugged in. I don't want it plugged in. I want it taken apart. There are 2 other things that you might see in your kit that I have taken out because we actually don't need them. So this is a USB. Okay, we don't need this. We can actually code and program the Hummingbird from a computer, and then we can also give it power using this. But we don't need to do that because we have a battery pack, and we're going to be connecting it from our iPad. So that's off. And then we also have these extension cables. These are just like a little extension cord for our servos. If you do need these in a future project, let me know. I can let you borrow them, but there's no sense in even inventorying them in our kits. So your kit, hopefully now, looks just like this. Beautiful. The next thing that we need to do is, move this out of the way, we need to actually download the app that we're going to be using. So that app, let me do it so you guys can see, not upside down. I'll try to do this upside down. The app that you need to find right now on your iPad is called Bird Blocks. It's a greenish turquoise-ish. I know it's hard to see. It's a little blurry, but you'll get the idea. Hang on, let me zoom back in. Too far. I think that's it. Okay. It's a turquoise one in self-service called Bird Blocks, and it's actually a hummingbird. It looks like a robotic hummingbird. The company that makes these is called Bird Brain Technologies. So they have a lot of their products are different birds. This one's called a hummingbird. So pause the video for a second and let's make sure that you have this downloaded. And one more thing before you download it. When you download this and you open it for the first time, it's going to ask you if you want to use Bluetooth. Please hit yes and accept. It does not need to know location if it asks you location. So don't just simply just hit yes or no just to get that off the screen. It is important that we tell it that we want to use Bluetooth. So pause the video right now, jump into self-service and download this, and then come back and we'll watch the rest of the video. So now, assuming that you have Bird Blocks downloaded, I want to show you something else that might be handy even at some other point. Let's say that you accidentally did not say, yes, I want to use Bluetooth. Under our settings, if I go to apps, let's see, apps I think are at the bottom. There they are. If I go to apps and I choose Bird Blocks here, right here is where I can see that I can turn on and off. It's not showing up in the video. There it is. Okay. I got a glare now too. But we have Bluetooth here, and this needs to be turned on. So if at any point in any other app you realize you need to use Bluetooth and it's on and off, that's how you get to it. It's under your settings menu. Okay. Let's go back to Bird Blocks here. So very shortly, I'm going to walk through a tutorial with you on how to code and program this. I should say, using this program to code the Hummingbird. You might have something that pops up here that says, do you want to create a new program? And that's fine. Okay? We are going to be using, let me put it over here, these three pieces to start. We have our controller, we have our microbit, and then we have our battery pack. In order to connect the microbit with the controller, there is a slot here, okay? And it slides in, and it has to be facing so that the buttons, we have two buttons on it, the buttons are facing up. So when we snap this in, it'll just slide in, okay? And so it barely gets below those little circle terminals right there. So it should look like this. Okay, you don't need to jam it in. If you're having trouble snapping it in, let me know. I can come around and help you out. So we have this, and then also we have our battery pack. So the battery pack gets plugged in the bottom right by this power light down here, this power LED. And I'm going to plug it in. And yours may or may not, it more likely will, immediately turn on the screen here in the power light. However, if it does not, what you need to notice is these battery packs have a, let me get good lighting, trying here guys, we have an on-off switch right here that we can slide. So now we are on. MPF, that's what I just said. And then we had a hashtag, BB4, blah, blah. Okay, wait for a pause. Right now, MPF. It's going to give you a whole bunch more stuff. MPF is my microbit. MPF. Okay, so if you're looking for it, wait for it to stop flashing a whole bunch of different things. Wait for the pause. One more time. MPF. Okay, why that's important. MPF. Let me slide this over, slide this over. We need to connect our Hummingbird to our iPad. So up here at the very top, there is a Hummingbird with a link next to it. I'm going to click on it. And you are going to click Connect Device, and you're going to see a whole bunch of different devices right now that are discoverable. Now, since mine's the only one in the classroom right now, it's going to be the only one that's going to show up. But MPF, I know, is mine. And so when I click on it, oh, I just heard it. It connected. We have a little red microphone here that means I'm connected. You may notice on the side over here, I now have blocks that I can use in code, and we'll get into that here shortly. But one thing I wanted to note before we transition out of this video and we go into the actual program is that the blocks that are over here are under Hummingbird Bit. So we have different menus. So this one right here says Hummingbird Duo. If I tap Hummingbird Duo, they're going to be gray. Okay? This is not a Hummingbird Duo. This is called a Hummingbird Bit. So I can tap that and make that go away. Okay? So we need to make sure that we have a microbit down here. Can't see it. And we have a Finch down here. Those are not menus that we are using. We are going to simply be using the Hummingbird Bit. I suppose one more thing before we transition to actually doing the coding is how to connect some items. They're going to show you in these tutorial videos very shortly that I'm going to be talking about on the BirdBrain website. They're going to show you how to connect it, and they're going to show you some steps on how to complete the activities and ultimately the challenges. I would like you to complete the challenges. So let me move this out of the way. I'm going to bring this over. And I have my Hummingbird Bit here. And what I want you to do, the very first project you're going to be doing is going to be a single color LED. So in your kit, I want you to grab one of your single color LEDs. It does not need to be red or green or yellow. It just needs to be one of, I guess I should say that differently. I'm not going to specify whether it has to be red, green, or yellow. You just need to pick one. I think in the tutorial video it's red. It doesn't matter. It does not have to be red. Okay, I'm going to pick green. You can pick red, you can pick yellow. It doesn't really matter. The tips of these wires here, okay, they are soldered and they're pretty nice. It's very possible that these are going to be broken or they're going to be like frayed apart, and you can't put them in the terminals. If that's the case, bring it to me. I have a wire stripper. I'll strip it and make a nice clean connection so we can plug them in again. But I wanted to take a step, some extra time to show you how to connect these, because this is super, super important. And believe it or not, this is one of the biggest things that people struggle with. So you have a single color LED. Okay, we notice that one side is black and the other side is our color, either green, red, or yellow. There's going to be a black wire on everything that is in the Hummingbird kit. And the black is always going to be connected to the minus sign on our controller. Okay, so black is always minus. That is the ground, the negative, the ground. Black is always the ground. You have a terminal tool right here, this guy. So the purpose of this little thing here, looks like kind of a plastic screwdriver, is you might notice that these little buttons here have a line in them. Go ahead and look at it. And what you can do is you can use this terminal tool to push down those buttons. Now, you can use your fingers, okay? But sometimes if you have wider fingers, it's tough to push down like this one, which is between buttons. So you can use the terminal tool and you can push down on it. Your terminal tool might not look like this. It might be 3D printed because these do break. But what we're going to do to start is we are going to plug our LED into a specific port. And yes, it does matter, okay? Because we need to tell the controller what specific port we want to make this blink out of. And we're going to do that in just a couple minutes. We have tricolor LEDs. This is not a tricolor LED. It's a single color LED. So that is this port here. And then we have some sensors down here. And then we have servos. So single color LEDs, tricolor LEDs, sensors. We have 4 of those, even though there's only 3 ports. And then we have our servos, our rotation and position servos. We're going to be using this port right here. So LED 1, it's the yellow one. So take your single color LED, and I want you to push down the button here as we slide in the green wire. We slide it in, we let go, and we just give it the slightest little tug, and we see that it's connected. In the minus side, the ground always is going to be black. So I'm going to push this one down and get this connected in here. Great. And there is our black. So here is our connected single color LED. Eventually, we're going to have a whole bunch of things plugged in all at the same time. And we're going to tell them with our iPad how to code them. So the important thing to note is to push them down when you're putting them in. And even more importantly, please push these buttons down when you remove them. There are so many times that students will break off wires inside and they'll break their wire because they just yank the wire out. Please do not do that. Push it down to remove it. For right now, we're going to leave this green LED because we're going to walk through our tutorial on how to do this. Inventoried our kit. We have our controller connected to our iPad. And we have our single color LED connected to our controller. We're going to learn how to program this on the iPad using the BirdBlocks app. This page is going to be linked in Schoology. So what you may have to do now is, after you watch this video on your iPad, you can, if you're working by yourself, you can actually log on to the computer to watch these tutorials on your computer, and then you can complete them on your iPad. If you are working with a partner, one of you can have the tutorials that you're going to see on this page on your iPad, and the other person can have the BirdBlocks app and be coding it. What I would like for you to do, though, if you're working in partners, is I want you to switch every single time you do a tutorial, meaning the first one we're going to do is a single color LED. So whoever wired up the single color LED, I want you to be doing the coding for the single color LED. And then once you've completed the challenge, I need you to switch. And I want the person who did the coding now to wire up the tricolor LED and the person who did the wiring to do the coding. Today what we're going to do is we are going to work through this using outputs tutorials, and we're going to see how far we can get. This is our single color LED, which should be selected.
Okay, if I were to hover over these, you can see that this one's a little more bold. This is where the link takes you in Schoology. So if you are able to click on single color LED on the other iPad, you can do that now. And you are going to go down here and you can see these tutorials. Now the first one, the first little video on each of the tutorials is just going to show that specific part working. Okay, so the first one's going to be a blinking light. Great. Okay, here's our battery pack. There might be a case, I can't remember, that we might see a different size battery pack. Let me pause this here. So this is the one we're going to be using for all of the lessons here with Hummingbird Bit. There might be a small little one that's connected to the microbit. The big one will work plenty fine. So we have our single color LED. Oh, in this case it is green. I thought it was red. We have a green one, and it's just going to be showing it flashing. It's blinking on and off. So that's what this does. Once we've done that, we can either click the 2 or we can hit the arrow here, and it's going to move us to block 2. Block 2 is always going to show us how to connect this item. So in this case, they're showing us how to connect the LED wires into the controller. I've already showed you that. Otherwise, I want you to watch that video as we go forward. But I'm going to skip that for this one since we've already done that. The next block is going to show us how do we code and program this. Okay, so follow along these steps, step by step. We're going to snap and drag these together. And then it's going to show us how do we get this to blink in this case. That's not all that I need for you to do. Okay, so it's still walking you through this. Great, great, great. The last one here is what is most important to me for your exit ticket. The last one's always going to give you a challenge. And I want you to do the challenge. Once you've completed the challenge, I need for you to take a screenshot of that code. Every time that you do a different item and you complete the challenge, I want you to screenshot it separately. We don't need to screenshot all of the codes separate, all of the separate codes on one. In fact, I just want one clean code. So today, you're going to work through and see how far you can get working through all of these using outputs. Next, we're going to do tricolor LED. We're going to screenshot the challenges on all of these. At the end of class, I will open up your exit ticket, and it's going to ask you to upload a code for one of these, but I'm not going to tell you which one until it's time to do the exit ticket. So you're going to complete all of them, screenshot them, and at the end of class, I'll specifically say, I want you to upload the code for this one or this one or this one. And it's just going to be one picture of that code. Okay, so we've done the single color, we've completed the challenge. I click on tricolor, I scroll down here, I see that it's tricolor LED also. Notice that these also don't have any sound. So they're just visual tutorials. So don't panic or try to figure out why these aren't making any sound. Okay, tricolor LED. That's what's next. Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. Show you how to wire it. Show you how to code it. Okay, and you might notice on tricolor LED, they are tricolors. They're red, green, blue. And you might notice on your controller it says RGB, red, green, blue. And then here is your challenge. Okay, that should be enough information to help you get going and get done for today. I wish you the best of luck. If you are working with a partner and you are struggling, ask your partner first. And if you cannot get an answer from them or you guys are stuck, please raise your hand. And lastly, remember, when you remove the wires, please push down the buttons on the controller. Don't just yank them out. And if you have one that needs to be, wire that needs to be stripped again, I can do that for you. Good luck and enjoy Hummingbird Bit.